Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
See, JR is trying to contain Jim Ross.
McFlurry,
It's Mick Foley. Do you see any of the aggro crag? Was any of that left over?
No, unfortunately not.
No?
I'm taking some of that home.
Definitely not is the barn burner that Lee Cassidy and Tiger thing was, but we'll leave that there.
We digress.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep. You may know him as the Red Rooster.
Is it still real to me? Damn it!
He kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Selena Vega on a pole match.
And Big E's got Whale performing in his entrance, so I feel like
Wale.
Wale. I don't listen to. Okay, well, I don't listen to him, so I apologize to Wale.
This is in the mail, my good sir. No, it wasn't. Paul.
I feel like Vince is just gonna have them team together and be like, have them called Woo Bro. Like they're just gonna be the Woo Bros. Like, anyway.
Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely,
and then you can listen to us too.
Strap on and balls, only on wrestling past and present.
This is Gangrel, the Vampire Warrior, and you're listening to Wrestling where wrestling's past and present.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Tim Kurt.
I'm Roland Pulis.
And where's Mongo? Mongo's actually not here. He's actually in North Carolina today.
Yeah, rumor has it, Tim, from what I heard, he's actually in North Carolina and he's kind of looking for something. And I think what he's searching for is
Lake of Reincarnation.
He's trying to find the Hardy compound so he can find the Lake of Reincarnation.
Yep.
Rumor has it he was sick of his dead-end job up here, and he's going to be reincarnated in North Carolina with a great job and a great opportunity. And a
mower of lawn.
Yes, and a mower of lawn. Let's take a second to just congratulate him. I know we haven't really talked about it on the podcast yet. He wasn't really too forthcoming with it to people who didn't know him, but he got a fantastic job opportunity that he just couldn't pass up. It was the job that he was trying to get with the company he was with before, that they were kind of jerking him around on, and he put in for this one. They gave it to him. They gave him a great money figure. It's also a little bit cheaper to live down there. So for me, I mean, when we talked about it the first time, I'm like, dude, it's a no-brainer. You have to take it. So, congrats to him, and hopefully he adjusts to North Carolina life relatively quickly. I'm sure he can't say wicked as much as he might say it up here now.
Yeah, and just a quick programming note for everybody. This really is not going to affect the show. We do this recording, through a StreamYard, which is like a Zoom type meeting. So it's only affecting this episode because literally Mongo just got there hours ago. He hasn't even been there like 12 hours yet. So he wasn't able to prepare, and we totally understand. So it's really only affecting this episode, but this is not going to be a common thing going forward. We all have things happen in our personal lives, and sometimes we have to make adjustments with this podcast. But like we said, we always do our best to get a show out for you. So we're going to do it OG style today.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a throwback. It's one of those things where we've had numerous opportunities to cover for each other. And I think that's what's really cool about having three of us too, is that if one of us is sick, if one of us has something come up, if one of us moves thousands of miles away, we're able to cover, and it doesn't hurt the show any, because all three of us bring different things to the show. And no matter what, if you're missing one of them, it's not the biggest chunk in the world. Like it's not like you're like something's missing, because we all think alike too, but we all have our certain, so it's not like, oh no, one of us isn't here, the show's going to suck. And it's like, we're still able to get a show out. You can't banter with yourself. So
yeah, that's true. I've tried that before in a podcast. It doesn't really work too good.
But I think that, it was a great opportunity for him. I'm glad. Yeah. For people that like Tim said, don't know, he left at 10 p.m. Thursday night, drove all the way through, got to North Carolina about 3:30, 4 o'clock p.m. on Friday Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
So yeah, realistically, even if because he was saying he was going to go right to bed once he got settled in the hotel, which I don't blame him. I would have too. Even if he got that sleep, we're recording at 1:00 in the morning because Tim has plans Saturday morning. But even if we still recorded Saturday morning, I don't think Mongo would have been ready. He didn't even have time to watch the show. But you got to remember, he had to move all his stuff too. He had delays happen with some of he'd got some of those pods to move his stuff. Those got delayed, screwed stuff. So he had a rough week. So if anybody's earned a week off, it's Mongo.
It's Mongo, yeah. And on that note, you mentioned I want to thank you, Roland, for being flexible with the recording time. We were recording this, full disclosure, 1 a.m. on Saturday morning here due to some last-minute schedule changes on my end. So
Tim just said doo-doo.
Did I really?
No, you said do too, but it sounded like doo-doo.
Doo-doo, yeah. But I just want to thank you for being flexible. We do our best to get a show out for you guys.
Haven't missed a week yet.
We have not missed a week yet. 121 episodes strong, and looking for 121 more at least. So let's get right into it. WrestleMania 4. Another part of the reason Mongo didn't have time to watch the show. This was a fucking long show.
Yeah, it was. It's so long that I got to open that to get through it.
Time for a beer, yeah. When I turned Peacock on, I watched this on Thursday. I turned Peacock on, and I'm like, 3.5 hours? Like, this show is an 88. Like, I didn't think they went that long.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, full disclosure, there was a few things I skipped over and skimmed through because it's not that it didn't interest me. I didn't have that kind of time. It's just... I watch the results and some of the stuff in them. There was a couple of things I skipped, but the major things I watched, and without spoiling anything, I think it lived up to the hype that we said last week that we thought it would be a good show to go back and watch.
Yeah, it was a solid show. A lot of great matches on the card. They weren't really overly long matches just by the nature they were having a tournament going on. So you couldn't really have like 20-minute barn burner matches, but I think a lot of those matches they made the most out of their lack of time. And entertainment wise, it was really good. Just a quick note before we get into it, a lot of celebrities in this one, which is kind of, it was kind of cool to see. A lot of celebrities, most people probably listening to this podcast don't even know. They probably don't know who Robin Leach is or Bob Uecker, or you probably know Vanna White because she's still relevant today.
Hello, this is Robin Leach welcoming you to the lifestyles of the rich and famous.
And I think that was about it. And then obviously, I'm not going to get political here, but this was at Trump Plaza. Donald Trump was in attendance there. We'll just leave it at that. No.
Ironically enough, his hair still looked the same in '88.
I know. Technically, it wasn't at Trump Plaza, by the way. It was at the convention hall, like across the street from the plaza, but they just marketed it because it was the sponsor. Yeah. But that's it. We're not a political podcast. We're not going to make any assumptions.
We'll just talk about his hair. That's all.
Yeah, let's talk about his hair. Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
But let's get right into it because we have 16 matches to discuss, which is like double the amount that's on the usual pay-per-view.
Thankfully, they weren't all 20 minutes.
Yeah. We start off the show with a battle royal, a 20-man battle royal. Bad News Brown wins by eliminating Bret Hart, although George the Animal Steel never got in the ring, so I think technically he's still in the match, like Kurt Axel's in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. That's a solid point.
I mean, this is kind of, I don't think we really necessarily needed this because it's not part of the title picture, which is the whole thing of WrestleMania. You just want a trophy, so it really wasn't like anything. It wasn't for like a title shot or anything like that. So to me, it was it was a typical battle royal. It was kind of clustery, and I really didn't think it was necessary. But it is kind of cool to see a big guy actually win one of these things because always the big guys are always like the ones that are they're ganged up upon to get eliminated, and they don't really win a lot of these things. So it was kind of refreshing to see that. It also, the only one thing I really liked was watching Harley Race work because I didn't get to see a whole lot of his matches before, and I know he's regarded as one of the best ever. So it's kind of cool seeing him in this. But overall, I didn't think this needed to be on the card.
Yeah, I think it was more of getting the big names that didn't have singles matches on the card.
Yeah.
You had Bret Hart, you had Jim Neidhart, you had Nikolai Volkov, like you said, Bad News Brown, Paul Roma, Ken Patera, Ron Bass, Sam Houston, Don't forget about B. Brian Blair.
The Killer Bees.
Yeah. Obviously, Jim Brunzell was in there too, but
Danny Davis.
Hillbilly Jim.
Yep.
The Rougeaus. But yeah, Boris Zukov. But yeah, Ken Patera, obviously, too. But yeah, I think it was just we have these guys we're paying, and let's make sure we get them WrestleMania payday. Essentially, is probably what it was.
Yeah. But, the whole storyline or the whole gimmick of WrestleMania 4 was the tournament for the vacated world title. So our second match is a first-round tournament match. It's Ted DiBiase with Virgil and Andre the Giant getting a win over Jim Duggan in about 5 minutes. It's an all right match. Jim Duggan isn't the best wrestler in the world. He's more for the entertainment value. But I thought he held his own against Ted DiBiase, who's a solid worker. You have the shenanigans, the typical heel stick with Andre getting involved and costing Jim Duggan the win. And Ted DiBiase moves on. They're trying to, the whole thing is, Ted DiBiase's teaming with Andre to try to get Hogan out of the tournament. As we'll get into, Hogan and Andre will face each other later. But at first, for a Jim Duggan match, I thought it was pretty good. And I'm glad that they kept it short, too.
Yeah, like you said, it was just under 5 minutes. I will say that the one thing I kind of took away from this was that when Andre punched him, the ref was looking like right at it.
Yeah.
The ref definitely should have been, doing one of these, like, looking in the sky, or I got something in my eye, or I'm eating a pie, or whatever else rhymes with that. But, like, it's it's one of those things where, looking back on when you were a kid, if you happen to see this, I mean, obviously it was 88, so I was 2. I didn't watch it, but I've seen bits and pieces of this show over time. And it's one of those things where, like, watching it now, you're like, wait, the ref was looking. Like, the ref saw that. Like, yeah. And then DiBiase wins with a fist drop.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little bit weird. I mean, I know usually you would use $1 Million Dream to win by submission, but you really wouldn't think of a fist drop ever being a finisher for anybody. Unless it was a a taped fist with something in it, a loaded fist. But
all I can think of is Jerry Lawler basically used it in WWE.
Yeah, but a lot of times it wasn't his finish. He'd go off the second rope with the fist drop, and then he'd try to hit a pile driver. But yeah, it was a little bit odd there. But I mean, I get they were selling that Andre punched him. So, but yeah.
Yep. Yes. So that was your first match of the tournament. Our third match is another first-round tournament match. It's Don Morocco with superstar Billy Graham and Dino Bravo. Another 5-minute match or so here. Don Morocco was pretty jacked back in the day. He was, and Dino Bravo too. And obviously, we all know what happened to Dino Bravo. It was very unfortunate, but
if you haven't watched The Dark Side of the Ring,
I was just about to mention that. Yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. It's all the Dark Side of the Rings are good, but that one in particular is really good. A solid match is a disqualification finish, which is kind of a theme through a lot of these matches. But I guess it's a way to protect the loser and not kill any momentum that they have. But again, it is what it is. I mean, it was a quick first round match. This first round match is only a 15-minute time limit, I believe. So just kind of, I think either one of them could have gone over, and they happen to go with Morocco here.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing I took away from this, and this is one of the ones I kind of skimmed through a little bit because I figured it would be a bit of a styles clash, and it was. It wasn't. When you have two, big power bruising type guys, generally speaking, the match isn't going to be very good. Especially back in the day. I mean, they're definitely better now with the more athletic, bigger guys, the Keith Lees, the Powerhouse Hobbs, the guys that are more athletic and bigger. So they're, the Brian Cages, they're I'm not trying to just name all the AEW guys. I'm just saying the guys that are bigger that can do impressive things make the matches better now. But yeah, back in the day in the 80s and 90s, if you had one big jack 300-pound guy facing another big jack 300-pound guy, you could pretty much skip it. Like, to be honest, one of those matches you knew would suck, and 9 times out of 10, probably 99 out of 100, it sucked. So I think the finish was a little weird, like you said, with the DQ, and Morocco winning, which is, like you said, it protects Bravo a little bit. But
this is where this is the match where Bravo like pushed the referee into Morocco, right? Is that the
like I said, I skimmed through this one a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Right, I think that's what it was.
I'm gonna be fully honest. I had like 2.5 hours to devote to the show during the week, and I did my best to cover what I could.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was one match where I believe it was this one where Bravo, Morocco was charging at Bravo, and Morocco shoved the referee in front of him, and Morocco ended up hitting the referee, but Bravo got disqualified for shoving him in. So, but again, like I said, it probably was to protect Bravo a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Bravo pulled the ref in front of him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Our next match is another first round match. You have Greg the Hammer Valentine getting a win over Ricky Steamboat in about 9 minutes. This was a great match. I think the result a little surprising here that Valentine went over. I mean, he didn't necessarily go over clean. There was complaint to the tights. Although, full honesty, I really didn't see the tight grab live. I would have to go back and watch it. It wasn't obvious to me that there was grabbing the tights in this one. This was a solid match. I mean, and you got to remember, these guys are working with a short time. They can only go 15 minutes or less here. So to pull off a really good match in 9 minutes, they did well. I've been really impressed. We covered Greg Valentine a little bit on a Royal Rumble show we did recently where he was in there for a long period of time, which is a little surprising. Very impressive. Very impressive here. I mean, he, again, somebody I haven't seen a whole lot of his work. But the little bit of work that we have seen covering this podcast, really impressive. And we all know Ricky Steamboat's fantastic. His matches with Flair, his matches with Rick Rude that we've covered on the show in WCW were excellent. I always go back to I mentioned this many times. We covered Beach Blast, one of our episodes, and he did a 30-minute Ironman match with Rick Rude, which is one of my favorite matches that we've covered on this show. So, yeah, this was a really good one. And it kind of really the first really solid match of the show.
Oh yeah, easily the best match of the night so far. I mean, you can't even, ironically enough, there's just no, even with some of the names, there's just no comparison so far. Easily, I think that the Hammer was one of the wrestlers, in my opinion. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Was one of the wrestlers, in my opinion, that like fizzled out super quick when he did. Mm-hmm. He was really good, and then all of a sudden he was really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in there. Like, was there some drug use? Was there, and I'm not accusing him, I don't know. Was there, something that happened personally? It just seemed like he went from a guy that could really go to like this, like almost like the character in the Adam Sandler movie, The Revolting Blob. Like it happened like super quick.
Yeah.
And in 88, like you said, it gives you an appreciation for how good he was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember him in like the early to mid 90s, and like, no offense, he sucked. Like he was bad. Like he was
probably rhythm and blues and
and it looked like every time he like came to the ring, he was like out of breath just walking to the ring, and everything he did in the ring was super slow. He kind of gotten he was never like super jacked and super thin, but he definitely kind of gotten out of shape a bit. So like he was one of those guys that, we talked about Scott Hall last week, that when his demise happened, it happened really quick.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to, like, because of his demons, I don't know if the Hammer had the same thing happen, but seeing this match and then knowing only a few years later, like what I remember of him, it's like, damn. And like you said, you couldn't have said anything more better about, Steamboat. Steamboat easily, in my opinion, pure wrestlers, if he's not in the top 10 all time, he's really damn close. Like if I had to sit down and make a list, he's like right there.
Yeah, you gotta definitely put him in there.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Macho Man Randy Savage fans, if you like your Randy Savage fix, well, this is the pay-per-view for you, because coming up next is his first appearance out of about 175 on the show. He's coming down with Miss Elizabeth, going to get a quick win over Butch Reid with Slick in the first round tournament match as well. Another 5-minute match. Again, this was kind of predictable. You knew Savage was going to go over here. I don't think anybody would see Butch Reid beating Randy Savage. So kind of a predictable match. I'm glad they kept it short because it is such predictable. I think they had to keep him short because they, well, as we discussed, Randy Savage is going to wrestle a few more times in this match. So they are in this pay-per-view, I should say. So they had to keep it short. I honestly don't remember too much about this match, to be honest with you. Full disclosure, I don't really remember much about it. It was just kind of there to get, Savage a quick win in the first round.
Yeah, the ending was Reid went to the top rope and Savage essentially did the Ric Flair spot where he grabs him, throws him off, and then he climbed up himself, hit the elbow, and that was it. It was essentially a squash match, really. It wasn't like you said. It was quick to get Savage in there, get him the win, have him move on, but. It was a borderline squash match is what it was.
Yep. All right. So even though he's not here, this is the point in the show where I got to give Mongo some crap. All right. So just kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit. Last week when we were discussing what we were doing for this episode, we were, running down a couple different cards, and Mongo was reading this one, WrestleMania 4, and was going through the matches, and he goes, "Oh, One Man Gang versus Bam Bam Bigelow. That match is going to be good." And he was being serious. He wasn't being sarcastic. So
I don't think he was anyways.
No, he said it pretty seriously. So luckily he didn't have to watch this one. I don't know what he was picturing this match would be, but it wasn't good. Luckily they kept it short. The shortest match on the card, under 3 minutes. And I have a lot of respect for these guys. I mean, especially Bam Bam Bigelow, one of the best big man to ever do it. And he was in really probably top shape in this era right now for him. But this was just not a good match.
And it ends by count out.
Yeah.
Too. How Britt Baker has the DMD thing? You can pretty much say this was a DUD.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Even the ending sucked. It would have been good if they would have had a creative ending for it. But like you said, it seemed like all of these first, round matches had to be super quick, and you protected some of the guys. So you had DQs, you had countouts.
Yeah. Next up, though, is the complete opposite of that. You have another first-round tournament match. You have Jake Roberts and Rick Rude with Bobby Heenan. It goes to full 15 minutes here, 15-minute draw, which is, I think, was the perfect decision because it protects both guys. And there's no wonky finish. Nobody loses here by some disqualification count, like we mentioned. This was excellent. I mean, doing this podcast has really made me appreciate what Rick Rude did, because he is just, or was, a phenomenal worker. And I wish he was around today because I think he would make a phenomenal manager, especially in AEW right now. He could do Rude's Brood or whatever. Something like that, because I think he would make an excellent manager because he just has a mind. His selling was on point. His mind games was on point. I really appreciate him. And Jake Roberts, he was really good here as well. I'm assuming at this point at this show his mind was in a good state because he put on a hell of a performance. And I think the 15-minute draw was the right way to go for this. Kind of sucks that by having a draw, they're both eliminated from the tournament. I would like to see something happen where one of these guys could advance, but I don't know how you do that with protecting one of the guys. But this was a phenomenal match. Highly recommend.
God damn it. We'll make it a triple threat match. That's what would happen nowadays.
Yeah.
Back then they didn't do a lot of that, thankfully. But I don't. We'll have Seth Rollins wrestle for it. Anyways, lately they've been trying to find what would Seth do, so he's trying to steal everybody else's stuff. But I couldn't agree more. Also, I want to point out that before this match was when Hogan did that crazy ass promo.
Paddling back to Steve. I didn't understand what the hell he was talking about.
I lost brain cells watching that promo.
Donald Trump, if you're gonna drown, we're gonna be the. I don't know. It was weird.
You'll have to doggy paddle, or
and then he exits the interview, but it's like swimming away.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to describe it.
I forgot about that. That was
I just wanted.
I tried to block that out.
That was one of the things I could have skimmed through that I didn't.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, no, this match really showcased these two guys, what they could do. And it, like you said, it gives you an appreciation for the wrestlers of both of these guys where, like you said, it's definitely the right way to go because, they both could, wrestle for 15 minutes. They could both take the quote unquote loss, but still both look strong doing so. I know it wasn't a loss because it was a draw, but I mean, they were out of the tournament. So,
yeah.
But the only other thing that I want to mention too is that it's weird and odd to me that you have a time limit and it really doesn't get mentioned throughout the show. Like there's no clock, there's no someone saying 5 minutes left or 10 minutes has gone by, or that was the one thing I'll take away from this whole tournament is that they're like a 15-minute time limit. It's like, no offense, these two guys are quote unquote beating the tar out of each other in the ring. How the fuck are they going to know what time it is? Like, oh, I've been wrestling for 3 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I know like Ventura and Monsoon brought it up a couple times. Oh, they got to be close to 15 minutes, but like there was nothing exact.
Yeah.
And probably because WWE or F not always accurate with their times.
Which still holds.
Just watch a Royal Rumble.
Which still holds true this year. I mentioned that a little bit that. Just for giggles, I started timing some of them. Yeah. And I can't remember who came out before Charlotte, but the gap between her and Charlotte was over 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like they fudged the attendance records, which they did for this show, I think, as well. Because there's no way there was 25,000 in that arena. But anyways, we digress.
Yeah. Moving on.
We digress. Just like whatever it is in the intro. I can't.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's 1:30 in the morning right now. I can't think. Anyways. I really don't want to think about this next match either. It's the Ultimate Warrior and Hercules. I don't care. The only thing I want to mention right now is it's a good transition to recognize something good that the WWE is doing. It was just announced that Shad Gaspard is going to receive the Warrior Award at the Hall of Fame, which I think is absolutely the right decision. For those of you who are unfamiliar, he in the sun got caught up in, I believe it was a riptide or something like that.
Yeah, a rip current got him.
Yeah. And rescuers were there, and he had a chance to be saved, but he said save his son first. And then
he essentially pushed his son to the safety. Rescuers, and then he got swept under.
He got swept under. So obviously the right decision. I know the Ultimate Warrior is kind of a controversial figure, but I really do like the Warrior Award concept. It recognizes people who have, had some who've done some courageous things or have gone through a lot of commemorable things. So that's really what I wanted to do. Use this match as a segue to mention that, because I think it's it's really it's more noteworthy this match and more important than this match.
Yeah, I mean the finish was the full Nelson by Hercules, and the spot where the person that's in the sleeper or the full Nelson or the choke goes to the corner and pushes off, and they both fall backwards. Except they had each other had an arm on the other, and Warrior got a shoulder up at 2, and Hercules didn't. So technically, Warrior won, which it's one of those finishes that I'm not the biggest fan of. I would rather see the Bret Hart style finish where you counter and then roll through, and the person gets pinned that way. But this is another one of those matches with two big jacked up guys that you kind of know the match is going to suck. Warrior goes 212 miles an hour. Yeah. And it's just another Styles Clash type of match where it's, just two big guys. And simply put, the crowd was over for Warrior because of his gimmick and everything else. But there's no other way to put it that this is one of the ones that was hard to watch. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Next up, we get into the quarterfinals of the tournament. Oh, by the way, that Ultimate Warrior match not part of the tournament; it was just there. We need one more match. Why not? Just why not? We don't have enough in here. God damn it! Who's left? Who was it? Shane? What are you? Shit, we forgot to put him in the Battle Royal. Yeah, Shane. Shane, you're 14. We can't put you out there. Richard, go get in your Brother Love costume. They're looking for people to get beat up by the Warrior. He's like, I'm not doing that again. So yeah. I don't know. Like you said, it was just there. It was one of those matches that had no meaning. There was the winner gets a title shot. The winner gets to spend the night with Vince's wife. Sorry, Linda. There's nothing like, and that's what makes the match suck even more. Is that like, why was it there? It didn't need to be.
No,
you could have easily put both of them in the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like Vince had no problem whoring his wife out. So I just, I know it's all, TV, but like, it seemed like Vince was pretty mean to his wife when he was Mr. McMahon. So
yeah.
But yeah, like the one that was like trying to be a senator and stuff, I apologize to her. I'm sorry. You seem like a really nice lady. I'm not saying it that way. I'm saying the character that Vince treated like crap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to be like, that's not what I meant, folks. So get over it. And again, it's 1:30 in the morning. So tomorrow I won't even remember that I said that.
No. So. All right. So yeah, we're getting to the quarterfinals now. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Wait, they didn't wrestle in the first round, you're saying? Well, that's because they had a bye. I don't know how they had a bye, but they did. So this match really not as good or important as the WrestleMania before when they headlined WrestleMania 3. This one was kind of there. They both got disqualified, which I thought was kind of weird because Hogan used a chair first, and then Andre just retaliated. So I don't quite understand the double disqualification there. But again, it's a way to further the storyline with Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant. Obviously, their whole plan was to get Hulk Hogan out of the tournament. So it's a successful way to do that without Hogan taking a loss, because we all know he doesn't clean very often. That's a kind of inside baseball joke. So I think it did its job, but I mean, you could honestly probably skip over this one.
The only thing I'm going to say about this match is that the best part after this match is you knew that Hogan wasn't going to win the belt.
Yeah, that was good.
If you're a fan now, you're like, yay, Hogan's not, like I said that last week. I'm like, oh my God, Hogan's not on top on this WrestleMania. Let's watch this one.
Yeah. All right. So moving along, another quarterfinal match. You have Ted DiBiase getting a win over Don Morocco. Roughly, just under 6 minutes. Again, I don't really remember too much about this match. This is one of the ones that was there. For me, again, it furthers the storyline with Ted DiBiase here in the title search, but I don't remember too much of the specifics of this one.
This is another match where Ted DiBiase does not use the $1 Million Dream. He actually uses a move that Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he was in WCW as Stunning Steve, actually called the stun gun. Yes, okay.
But they kept calling it the clothesline, which is not a clothesline, but whatever.
No. A clothesline, is your arm, but yeah. So it was like a stun gun style-esque type maneuver, and that was enough for the pin. And again, it's weird that this is the second match we've seen DiBiase, and he hasn't won by his signature move in either one.
Yeah. Well, this was the era, too, like you mentioned, the fist drop finish, like, the finishes were very simple there. You won with basic moves, stuff that would never fly today. Who was it? I think it was Dino Bravo they were talking about, where his finisher was just like a side suplex. And
it was like a side slam type. Yeah.
It's just like a sidewalk slam, side suplex type move, and I'm like, you would never win with that today.
No, how many times in a career do you think Glenn Jacobs as Kane hit a sidewalk slam? At least one match.
Yeah.
And he never won by it ever.
We're to the point where, you look at the DDT, which was one of the most protective finishers ever. And now you see it 8 times a match now. You see
spinning ones. You see
so many ones.
Yeah, and they don't get the job done.
No.
So.
No, it's crazy.
And that's why, not to cut you off before you get, but that's why you have, people like Meltzer who, I do agree with him on this, is that wrestling has become too flippy, too zippy at times, because you're making these moves that were protected. You have to one up them somehow. You're making it so you're up against a wall. So you have to watch Sammy Guevara do a springboard from one set of the ropes to the other and come off with a cutter, because if he just hits a diamond cutter, everybody's like, so
what? Well, that's the thing. Like, eventually you're going to run out of room. Like, you're going to plateau and peak, and then everything's going to be stale, and you're going to see 85 tope suicina, whatever move.
Suicina.
Yeah. So, I think wrestling could take a lesson from the past here and go back to the simpler finishes, because it makes the match a little bit unpredictable, because like a finish could come anywhere. Like, you see a clothesline, that could be the finish. Now you see a clothesline, now the guys can get right back up. But back in the 80s, you get a clothesline, somebody could win with that. We covered a Survivor Series where the Iron Sheik, one of the most important and biggest names in wrestling history, got eliminated by a clothesline.
Yep. So. And nowadays you really only have two moves that I can think of that are protected to that degree. One of them that's been protected for 20 some odd years, which is the RKO, because that can come out of damn near anywhere, and it is kind of like a DDT where he can just hit it and the match is over.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely does someone kick out of the RKO.
Yeah.
The other one is Kenny Omega's One-Winged Angel. Yeah. That doesn't get kicked out of. Other than that, literally everybody's finisher gets kicked out of at some point.
Yeah. All right, next up, we have another quarterfinals match. Randy Savage makes his second appearance against Greg the Hammer Valentine in 6 minutes here. He's going to get the win, obviously. This one, I think, had the potential to be more. I know they were probably against time, because you got to get the Ultimate Warrior and the 20 other guys in the Battle Royal on the show. So I would, especially based off the Steamboat Valentine match, I would like to see this one gone a little bit more. I do understand the finish here, though, with Savage going over, because it's very predictable. I don't think you're putting the belt on Greg Valentine here. So again, another predictable match, another match that's just, it serves its purpose, just advancing the guy to the finals. But nothing really nothing more significant than that in this match.
Yeah. I will note that it was one of the few matches that had a clean finish, which was kind of refreshing. But yeah, it, after seeing how well the Hammer performed in the first match and knowing he was facing one of the best wrestlers of all time in Macho Man Randy Savage, and if you don't agree with that, fight me. I really don't care. At Roland Fulis on Twitter. Randy Savage character, the way that he portrayed himself, and the fact that he could do stuff in the ring the way he did, easily, again, one of those guys like Steamboat that if he's not in the top 10, again, he's damn close. And you figure this match is going to be great, and it was just okay. And some of it was because it was so short, they never got to that next level. They never were able to have like a slow start and then that middle where it gets going good, and then the ending, they just kind of had to go like middle end.
Yeah.
Or start finish kind of thing. And it felt very rushed. It felt kind of skipped. Like you said, they were up against it time wise. And it's unfortunate, because I think this is another match that you could have given a couple more minutes to, maybe let the Warrior stay in catering and, maybe come out, cut a stupid promo and have black shit come down his face again, or whatever you want to do. But
you already had a stupid promo though with Hogan.
Well, at this point, what's another one?
But
I mean, you could have done it just for the crowd too. It didn't have to be one that we saw, but he still could have appeared.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it. Unfortunately, like you said, it was pretty short. And if they had given him maybe 3 more minutes, where they, say they got to about 10, this could have been a really good match. I think.
I agree with that. Next up, we have a match for the Intercontinental title. You have Brutus the Barber Beefcake, cut and shredded, baby.
No, you said that wrong. It's Brutus the fucking Barber.
Oh, that's right.
Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake. Anyway, shout out to Conrad. Shout out to Conrad Thompson. We're still waiting for you to hit Mongo back up about being on the show.
Invite. So www.pap@gmail.com. Anyways. So, Brutus Barber, the fucking Barber Beefcake, getting a win over the Honky Tonk Band by disqualification. I again, I don't really remember too much about this one. That seems to be a theme with some of these matches. The only thing I do remember that kind of irked me is, it's a disqualification finish. If Brutus Beefcake is celebrating like you won the title, like no, you're not supposed to celebrate when it's a title match and ends with disqualification. You're supposed to be pissed. So I didn't understand that. Jimmy Hart, got the entertainment in with his hair getting cut. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of these guys. I respect that they made a pretty good mark in the business, but this is another match I didn't need to see, even though it was for the title.
And here's where I make another one of these like bold takes. Like I see it on TikTok a lot where people are like, there's this one going around where people are like, what's your most controversial wrestling take? I'll start with mine. Here's mine. This match might be the two most overrated wrestlers facing each other of all time.
Maybe.
The Honky Tonk Man, just because he was Jerry Lawler's cousin, and Beefcake, just because he was Hulk Hogan's buddy, are on. And no offense to either one of them, neither one of them could really wrestle a lick. They both didn't have. I mean, they didn't have the in-ring physical, savage Steamboat. They weren't wrestlers. They were, out there for a character, and that's the problem when you have two characters together. Is you have these two characters, neither one of them can wrestle really. I mean, they can do basic moves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, I know it's in the, the character era when they're, Beefcake being a barber all of a sudden and Honky Tonk Man being an Elvis ripoff and all this stuff. Like I said, this might be one of the matches with two of the most overrated wrestlers of all time facing each other.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So moving along, we have a 6-man tag match. You have the Islanders, Haku and Tama, and Bobby Heenan. Yes, you read that right. They're going to get a win over the British Bulldogs, David Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid and Coco Beware in 7.5 minutes. This match made me realize just how great Bobby Heenan was. Like he is excellent. He plays that heel, that weasel character so well. He comes out because he's afraid of Matilda. He comes out in a protective suit for like dog wranglers and dog handlers. It was the match itself is okay. But I just remember Bobby Heenan gets the pinfall. I just remember thinking how fantastic Bobby Heenan was in this industry.
Yeah, and another controversial thing I'll say, and I'm only going to mention it just because it's one of those things that's been mentioned before, but I'm going to bring it up. I haven't seen much of the Dynamite Kid because he left WWE shortly after this. He wasn't there much longer. Watching this match shows me how much Chris Benoit and him were almost the same person. And it was brought up before that like he emulated guys like the Dynamite Kid, and I'll be damned if they don't look alike. They don't have the same they have the same exact stature. Like it's eerie. It's almost like watching Benoit 20 years before he was in WWE.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to go to the Benoit thing. I'm just saying that it might be a little controversial to mention that, but in the Benoit Dark Side of the Ring, it was brought up that, one of the guys he tried to emulate was the Dynamite Kid. And like I said, I'll be damned if seeing this didn't bring that out.
I agree.
Another match that didn't necessarily need to be there either.
Yeah.
To be honest, too. I mean.
Next up, we have a semifinal match. You have Randy Savage getting a win over the One-Man Gang by disqualification in about 4 minutes. He gets hit by the cane of Slick, and then One-Man Gang tries to hit him again, and then Randy Savage just keeps rolling around and keeps missing him. Again, I'm glad it was quick because, again, this is a Styles clash, and yeah, there's not much to talk about with this one.
And we're not talking an AJ Styles clash.
No.
We're talking like just ugly, hard to watch, dumpster fire, whatever you want to describe it as. It was really bad. And like he said, the best part of the match is he's trying to hit him and he can't hit him if he wanted to.
No, I know.
It's like he's playing whack-a-mole at the arcade and he's one hole behind every time. Like he's just, I don't know. It was bad. That's one thing I will say is that there's a lot of good characters and a lot of good wrestlers on this card, but because of the tournament style, that's the one thing I've noticed when we've done pay-per-views that have a tournament style. They have some dumb bullshit finishes that just ruin matches. And I'm not saying this would have been a Meltzer 5-star classic in the Tokyo Dome, but if you would just let them wrestle a regular match here that went maybe 7-8 minutes, it probably would have been at least decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It was caca.
Yep. Yes, it was. Next up is a tag team match for the tag team titles. This is the longest match on the show in 12.5 minutes. Demolition Action Smash with Mr. Fuji getting a win over Strikeforce, Tito Santana, and Rick Martel. It is a pretty solid match. I know there was a Gaga finish that allowed Demolition to get the win, become the new champions. I want to say, and I don't know this for sure, I believe this was their reign of where they were the tag team champions for forever, and it was just recently broken by the New Day a couple months ago. A solid match. I mean, you have decent performers. I liked how Monsoon thought Demolition's outfits were illegal, which was kind of cool. But Tito and Rick Martel, really solid matches. We talked about Rick Martel a little bit last week on our tribute show to Scott Hall. But yeah, it was a solid tag match. I think it was definitely a good setup to the main event. It's not. I wouldn't classify it as a let me up match. So I think it was a good prelude, for the main event. So I think it served its purpose.
Yeah, I think it's smart when you have a tournament like this to save what you think is going to be the best two matches for towards the end. Whether you have something in the middle and you go, tag match, let me up, title match, or if you go tag match for the titles and then world title. Either way, I think that if you don't finish strong, then you've just produced a show that literally had maybe two good matches and the rest of them were just DQs and countouts and just garbage. So at least they were smart enough to book some of the more solid stuff for the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Our main event, match 16, is the tournament finals for the vacated World Heavyweight Championship. Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase going to go about 9.5 minutes. Andre the Giant's out there with there's a little bit of Gaga here. I wish it would have been a clean finish. Andre the Giant comes out, then Miss Elizabeth grabs Hogan. Hogan gets involved, helps Randy Savage win the title. I don't think Randy Savage needed a Gaga win here. I think he could have beat Ted DiBiase straight up. I really think it did a disservice to Savage here. I get it. Because you don't need to protect DiBiase. DiBiase is that heel character that can take a clean loss and rebound from it. Because he could say, I blame Andre, or I blame Virgil, or something. Like, he could play the excuse card. So he could lose clean. So I really didn't like the shenanigans with Hogan getting involved in the match. I mean, I would have been okay if, Hogan came out originally just to even the odds with Andre being there, but I would have been happy with the clean finish and none of them getting involved. So I think it kind of ruined a match with two really, really solid performers. So that was my only gripe about this one, but I'm happy to see that, Savage got his title win here.
Well, I will say that if you're going to put the title on somebody other than Hogan, Hogan still has to have something to do with it, brother.
Yeah. True.
And that's my takeaway from this is that, even though Randy wins the title, and I wouldn't say that Hogan necessarily helped him win, but I will say that he kept Andre from making him lose, I guess is the best way to put it, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I don't think that Hogan was the deciding factor as to why Macho won.
Yeah.
I think he evened the odds enough where he could still win remotely clean and not look like a douchebag that couldn't win his own match, one-on-one. That being said, I too agree with you that they unfortunately ruined what could have been a 5-star match by trying to further a goddamn storyline that didn't need to be furthered because you had already done it earlier in the night.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have just let it be. And you could have said, here's what you do. It's a title match. You say, you send Jack Tunney out there. I assume he must have been the president at the time. I think probably the
I believe he was. I think they mentioned him a couple times.
Yeah. So you send him out there, before the title match, and you say, listen, we've seen what's gone on tonight. There's been some, less than ideal circumstances, and I'm going to rule that this title match can't have anybody down there, or they'll be indefinitely suspended, fined. We want a clean title match. We want to give the fans a finish that they deserve. We understand that, some of the stuff that happened tonight could have been prevented, and, they could have came out and done that and then had a good match. And then that way you don't need the interference with Hogan and Andre. You could have just left that because you already did that. I mean, the only thing you gain from Andre being out there is, like you said, DiBiase can kind of float the blame at him for screwing up.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you don't really gain anything else from that. And the two things I'll mention also before we close the show here, that Randy Savage, again, one of the at least top 15, top 20. Again, if he's not in the top 10, he's damn close. And then Ted DiBiase might be the best to never get the world title.
Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation. I would probably have to go with Piper for that one.
I'm just saying,
but he's on the short list.
Yeah, well, just based on character and ability in the ring. I mean, you look at the stuff that Piper, Scott Hall.
Scott Hall's one.
You can probably make a Mount Rushmore of, DiBiase, Hall, Piper, and I'm sure we can find one other name that you'd be like, wait, they didn't win a title? Like, yeah. And those would be like the top four, or, maybe even a fifth person that you'd be like, well, damn, these people had a fantastic careers. They never won a title. Never won the big title.
The big title, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So that wraps up WrestleMania 4. If I had to give it a rating, I mean, there's a lot of kind of matches you could kind of skip over, but some good ones. I'll probably give it maybe a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. I think, match of the night for me, it would be the Rude Roberts match, but a close second to the Steamboat Valentine match. Those are neck and neck for me.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you that those are the matches that I would pick too. In my head, I can't even be like, hey, this was a sleeper match. I wish that the Savage Valentine match had more time.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been one of those sleeper matches that it's like, hey, if you didn't watch this match, you're kind of missing out.
Yeah.
But there's really nothing on here that, I mean, other than moments, like the Heenan stuff that he did in that match. There's really nothing that I can say, damn, like I thought that was going to suck and it was great. For the most part, anything I thought that was going to be bad was pretty bad. So yeah. I would have to say it's definitely in the 5 range. It wasn't a bad show, but it also wasn't one of my favorite shows just because, and I know you have a tournament setting and you have 412 matches you got to get through. But you still don't need all these DQs. You don't need all these countouts. You can have a couple. You can have, but like get creative and, if you're going to have somebody get involved, have the ref actually not see it. Andre punching fucking, can't remember who he punched, but Andre punching.
Duggan, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Duggan. Yeah. Like the referee's like staring right at it. And he's like, whatever.
Yep.
That DiBiase gave me $50, so it doesn't really matter. It just, it takes away from it. And I get that, back then it was about characters and about presentation and they had the celebrities there. You realize at the end when they introduced all the celebrities, no one gave 2 shits. Those celebrities.
Yeah, I know.
No one cared that those celebrities were there. They introduced Robin Leach and he's like, maybe I should go back to the lifestyle. It's the rich and famous. He's like, nobody wants me here. Yeah, no shit. Nobody wants you there. Like, it's not, they're not big name celebrities. Bob Uecker is a relatively big name.
Yeah.
I mean,
Vanna White is a bigger celebrity now, but back then I don't think she was that big.
And no offense to Robin Leach, other than hosting that show, and doing a few other little things, he was never really I mean, could he have been on a Survivor Series as a guest? Maybe. But he need to be on WrestleMania? Not really. Was he the worst guest celebrity they ever had on WrestleMania? No. But he definitely wasn't one of the best. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's our rundown of WrestleMania 4. I do want to hit on one point before we sign off. Some big news was announced on Friday as we're recording this on Saturday morning. Triple H announced on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith that he is officially retired from in-ring competition. His cardiac event that he had a couple months ago apparently was a lot more severe than I originally thought it was. He was close to not being with us. So he, is obviously listening to his body right now and decided it's best to retire. He's a New Hampshire native. We record the show in New Hampshire, so we have to mention this as a significant retirement in wrestling history. People crap on him all the time because he married into the McMahon family, but his mind for the business is awesome. His matches are awesome. I don't think he was in it for himself too often. I mean, I'm sure he was a little bit. I think all wrestlers are at some point. But the fact that he's lost so many times at WrestleMania proves that he doesn't really have that big of an ego. So just want to mention, here's to a happy retirement to Triple H.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention also is that he would have gotten to where he is now even if he didn't marry Stephanie. Would it have taken a little bit longer to get there? Probably. But he's one of those guys that would have been a lifer regardless. He was already sitting in production meetings back before he was even dating Stephanie. Vince would call in, so Vince knew he had a good mind, and clearly he would have been quote unquote one of the Stooges at some point before if he hadn't married Stephanie. So yeah, I mean, the only other thing I want to add to that is I just want to say thank you, Paul. I want to say thank you for everything you've done and given to the business and the great matches you've had and the longevity of your career. I mean, I know it didn't probably end the way you wanted. I probably think you'd rather have like one more match to end it. But we're glad you're still with us. I don't think we could have handled losing Scott Hall and Triple H within, months of each other.
Yeah, that would have
been pretty rough for the wrestling world and, families involved and everything else. That's the other thing I will say is that I'm glad that talking about Scott Hall for a minute, I'm glad that he at least had some reconciliation with his kids. I know that he had a lot of issues there before he got, sober with the DDP before that. And he had a falling out with his kids before that. And he kind of buried the hatchet and they got back together and they were on good terms. But, nobody deserves to go through life without a parent. So, it's unfortunate that, that Cody and his daughter, Scott Hall's daughter, they, lost their father. And it would have been unfortunate if Stephanie and Triple H's three daughters would have lost their father. Stephanie clearly is just enthralled with this man. To this day, you can tell how much they care about each other. And it would have been a rough loss for not just the wrestling world, but the WWE. I don't think they would have known what to do. So it's a good thing that he pulled through. And like I said, the only thing I can say is 3 words, literally. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Paul. That was a great way to put it. So, yeah, that's our show. I don't believe we have a topic figured out for next week. We're going to let Mongo get settled into his new digs, as the kids are saying it this day.
We're going to let Mongo pick the goddamn topic because he wasn't here today to help us. That's
all right.
Punishment.
Yeah, we'll pick the
Mongo.
Well, if we do that, he's going to pick another one-man gang Bam Bam Bigelow match. I mean,
okay. So what we'll do is we'll give him first shot.
We'll give him first shot, and then we have the power of veto.
You and I are two votes to 1, so we can both say no.
Yeah,
we'll give Mongo, since he wasn't here, we'll give him the first shot to come up with the best option for next week. How's that?
That works. So kind of a mystery for what's coming up for you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. And we wish Mongo all the best in his new home. Thank you, Roland, Nate, once again for being flexible, as it's now almost 2 a.m. on Saturday. So on that note, time to go. Thank you very much for joining us on our episode of WrestleMania 4. We'll be back next week with some topic. And until then, I'm Tim Kurt.
I'm Roland Fulis.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present.
Thank you, Paul.
I hope you're all having a nice day.